Wisconsin, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choices for ourselves, because we know there's a golden...
Nice old guy. He's a leftist. He is an extreme left-wing progressive. He is a wolf in...
Picture this. Michele Tafoya storms in as if she's uncovered the world's worst-kept secret, Tim Walz. She's not just spilling tea. She's hurling the entire boiling kettle across the room. Suddenly, Walz isn't merely a politician. He's a walking red flag with a warning label, and Michele is there, waving flares and yelling, "You should be scared. Buckle up, because this isn't your average political dramats, the roast nobody saw."
We won't agree on every issue. Hell, maybe we won't agree on any issue. But maybe when the campaign signs come down, we all get a little break from the rhetoric and the TV ads and the fundraising texts, and I'm sorry about those.
To live right now in Minnesota, where he is still the governor, and he's still a fool, and he's still a fraud, and he's still a clown.
Ooh.
And I seriously have zero respect.
Hit subscribe, it helps more than you think. Michele Tafoya didn't just step into the political ring. She swanned off the top rope like she was auditioning for the WWA of truth bombs. And her target was Tim Walz. Suddenly, the Minnesota governor isn't just the guy with the dad bod who brags about hunting trips while secretly Googling how to look rugged in flannel. Tafoya practically slapped a neon warning sign on him that reads, "Proceed with caution," with possible side effects including regret, confusion, and uncontrollable ire.
So far, not a good week, and it's early, it's only Wednesday, but not a good week for Kamala Harris. And meanwhile, her running mate, who again, full disclosure, the governor of the state of Minnesota where I live and will not be living much longer, thanks in large part to Winters, yes, but Walz as well, the two W's. I don't know how hard I have to work to convince you all that Tim Walz is not a man you want a heartbeat away from the president.
The thing about Walz is that he has perfected the art of being aggressively mediocre, waking up each morning, staring in the mirror, and asking, "How can I make beige even more beige today?" and then actually doing it, whether he's fumbling policy decisions like his hands are slick with butter or delivering speeches that sound like ChatGPT on dial-up. Walz has somehow transformed Minnesota nice into Minnesota nightmare.
Tim Walz is associated with that fraud. How much responsibility does he bear?
Oh, he owns it. Absolutely. I mean, there have been no agency people held accountable for the fraud on the front end. So if we could stop this with better internal controls and oversight by the agencies, then there would be fewer criminals out there bilking.
When he says that kids who want to come here and get gender-affirming care without parental guidance is wrong, he is lying to you. I'm married to a lifetime Minnesotan. And
so why is Michele Tafoya waving the red flag like she's directing traffic at a clown convention? Because Walz isn't just another politician doing the hokey pokey with his promises. He is the hokey pokey itself. Every move he makes screams confusion, and every pivot leaves people dizzy. While Tafoya rips the curtain open to reveal not a strategic genius, but a man who couldn't find the exit in a roundabout, even if you handed him a GPS and 3 road signs.
Okay, so I was at the Peking University and engaging with economists, and I had made the statement, I'd corrected him when he had said that Mao had made mistakes. And I said, excuse me, this was in 2010. I said, killing more than 70 million of your own people is more than a mistake. And the Chinese deny my visa and say that I'll only be allowed into the country if I will sign a document stating that I will neither write nor say anything negative about China. I'm banned after one visit. But here's a guy who's going back while he's a national.
Walz is the cherry on this disaster sundae, strutting around with smug confidence like a man who just discovered the secret to eternal youth but forgot to write it down. He radiates a "trust me, I know what I'm doing" energy while simultaneously driving the political bus straight into a ditch, exposing himself simply by existing in public office. His leadership style reads like indecision and overcomplication had a baby, and that baby grew up to run a state. Walz has a knack for turning a simple issue into a 5-act Shakespearean tragedy, forgetting his lines halfway through. Need a clear stance? Too bad he's busy consulting with the ghosts of past mistakes. Want efficiency? Don't make him laugh. This is the man who could turn ordering a pizza into a bureaucratic nightmare requiring 6 committees, 2 surveys, and a follow-up meeting on whether pineapple is acceptable. Michele Tafoya saw through the facade and basically warned everyone. You should be terrified not because he's an evil mastermind, but because he's the exact
Been vetted because he looks so harmless. Isn't that always the way, the wolf in sheep's clothing? It's always the way. When he abandoned Minneapolis during the George Floyd riots, we were all sitting back going, where the hell is Tim Walz? Where's the governor? He didn't show his face for 3 days. But it's not just that. There is so much wrong in this state now. When he says that there are not abortions up to 9 months,
111, Walz proves that the scariest people in charge aren't always plotting world domination. They're the ones who think duct taping a collapsing bridge is a long-term solution. Imagine hiring a babysitter who can't operate a microwave but insists on making omelets, or someone volunteering to fix a leaky pipe, only to flood the entire basement. Michele Tafoya just stands off to the side, arms crossed, saying, "See, I told you she didn't need a megaphone," while Walz provides the soundtrack to his own downfall. The irony drips thicker than Minnesota maple syrup. He's tried to brand himself as the relatable everyman, the just-like-you guy, except when most people say that, they don't mean someone worse at when a governor makes you nostalgic for the days of deep love, internet because at least love eventually connected, you know it's bad. His problem isn't cartoonish villainy, it's incompetence in the most
that you've accomplished since 2018.
You know, the most important work I've done has been in the last session when I became chair of the fraud committee. Minnesota has an epidemic of fraud. Under Tim Walz, we are looking at north of $1 billion of our tax dollars being stolen and ripped away from vulnerable citizens who actually need help. So my work on the fraud committee continues even though we're not in session. We're having our next meeting September 17th, and I am just committed to rooting out the fraud and protecting taxpayers.
111. He's not stealing cookies from the jar. He's forgetting where he put the jar, forming a subcommittee to find it, and then holding a press conference to announce that the cookie policy is under review. Meanwhile, Michele Tafoya is shouting from the rooftops, "Be afraid, be very afraid," because this isn't leadership, it's a sitcom that forgot to be funny. And the excuses Walz could write a trilogy titled, "It's not my fault. A politician's guide to dodging responsibility, when things go south, it's always the weather, the economy, Mercury in retrograde, or the neighbor's suspicious cat. He has more scapegoats than a petting zoo." Delivered with the straight face of someone who truly expects you to nod along, Michele must have hit her breaking point watching him dodge accountability like a limbo champ, all while executing his signature awkward pivot. Ask a tough question, and he serves an answer so far removed from reality you start wondering if you accidentally tuned into a cooking show. People want clarity. He serves word salad, the wilted lettuce, questionable ranch, and a crouton so stale it could be used as a weapon. Michele didn't just expose Walz, she flipped the table and declared, "Stop pretending."
Ground. And so there are a lot of people in my neighborhood who are moving, not just my neighborhood, from all over Minnesota, who have left, probably heading your way. It's been really sad. I've lived here for half of my life now. I grew up, like I said, in Southern California and spent the first half of my life in California and then came here. I'm so sad to see this state the way that it is. So I would have honestly, I'd love to sit across from him and interview him, but
Really terrifying again. Michele nailed this, is that Walz somehow convinces people he's reliable, pulling off the ultimate magic trick, the illusion of competence. He stands there, sleeves rolled up, exuding the aura of a hard-working leader, while secretly hoping no one notices the metaphorical sink overflowing behind him. It's like hiring someone to build your house, only for them to spend weeks color-coding the tool shed, and you don't realize the roof isn't going up until it caves in. Michele's warning isn't just boo, be scared, it's more like, don't leave this guy alone with sharp objects or major responsibilities. Yet, the political machinery keeps rolling as if everything's fine. Walz is that coworker who keeps getting promoted simply for surviving long enough. Even though everyone knows half the day is spent playing solitaire, you start to wonder whether the promotion committee has a sense of humor or has just given up entirely. What makes Michele's takedown sting even more is that she's not a politician. She doesn't play the game of fake smiles and pre-approved sound bites. She just says it like it is, and it lands like a punchline nobody expected. No 50-slide PowerPoint needed. She lit the fuse and stepped back.
A goober. He's kind of a clown. He's not a serious guy. Every time you see him, he's like, you just get embarrassed for him and for for Minnesota. I don't know if is he popular there? Do people like this guy?
1111. Walz, of course, will act unfazed, as he always does, flashing that politician's poker face that insists everything is fine while the metaphorical house burns behind him. But people are catching on poker faces don't work when your cards are upside down and everyone can see you're holding a pair of threes. Michele basically shouted, "Look at his hand, he's bluffing." And once the trick is revealed, the illusion vanishes. The scariest part, and where Michele's warning hits hardest, is that Walz isn't just running in circles on his own dime. He's running in circles with the entire state strapped to his back. Imagine a roller coaster operated by someone asleep at the wheel. With a loose safety bar and squeaky track stats. Walz, governance. You're not scared because he's malicious. You're scared because he's oblivious. And oblivious leadership is often the most dangerous kind. Of course, defenders will chime in with the usual lines. He's just misunderstood. His heart's in the right place. Governing is complicated. Sure, governing is complicated, but it's not supposed to look like a group project where one guy insists on using Comic Sans for everything. Good intentions don't build infrastructure, solve crises, or make people feel safe. And Michele cut through the noise by saying the quiet part out loud.
I need people to know that I've lived there since 1994. I've been through numerous governors, and this guy's the worst. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He likes to go around and smile and act like he's just good old Tim Walz. That period of time in Minneapolis was awful. A neighbor across the street came over and said, "Do you have a fire extinguisher? My friend's business is burning and there's no..."
11111111. And speaking of execution or the spectacular lack thereof, Walz has a talent for announcing plans with the gusto of a motivational speaker, only for those plans to collapse like a Jenga tower in a toddler's hands. He doesn't know what he's doing, and people should be worried. The public deserves more than a governor treating every decision like a choose-your-own-adventure book, where every ending is disappointing. Michele Tafoya made it clear, being scared isn't paranoia, it's self-preservation. When the person in charge can't find the steering wheel, everyone in the car has reason to panic. That's the punchline of this whole circus. Walz isn't a villain. He's not a mastermind plotting in a dark lair. He's the guy fumbling with the projector during a critical presentation, insisting everything's under control while the screen flashes error for the 50th time. Michele's warning hits differently because she's not cautioning against what he might do intentionally. She's warning about the chaos he'll...
Place full of working folks, students, folks who care. And I think about this. You came out here early, found a place to park, stood in the sun, sat here and wait, and you did it. You did it for one simple and eloquent and beautiful reason. You love this country. You love this country.
111111 in politics. Accidental disasters can be just as damaging as intentional ones. And when Michele Tafoya warns, you should be scared, she isn't fear-mongering, she's pointing out the elephant in the room wearing a kick-me sign. Walz isn't frightening because of his power, but because he wields it with a confidence that could have him accidentally send the state budget to Staples instead of the legislature and then hold a press conference, claiming it was all part of the plan. Tafoya didn't just call him out, she sounded the alarm like someone spotting smoke in a crowded theater, except here. The smoke isn't from fire, it's from Walz burning dinner in the political kitchen while insisting it smells delicious. He could char a steak into a hockey puck.
We were under curfew, but he was nowhere to be found.
Oh.
And the night that precinct burned and those cops just had to flee, it was one of the most surreal moments I can recall as being a citizen of
11111111. And yet, people keep handing him the spatula. It's the real horror story here. It's not a monster hiding in the shadows. It's the crowd cheering for the guy who can't even preheat the oven.